The movie tells the story of a soldier on a mission to escort a child to safety through a gauntlet of hostile Taliban insurgents and survive brutal Pakistan. Will they survive in the enemy's camp, or will this be the soldier's final mission? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this content. Spoilers ahead. The film begins as a woman connects Dave and Mike Stevens on a call. Mike Stevens wants Dave to help him get some American missionaries out of Pakistan. Dave refuses. First, he believes the missionaries knew the risk before entering Pakistan. Mike explains that he's been using them to coordinate the evacuation of the ANSF interpreters, but they stayed too long there. Dave tells him it's too dangerous, but Mike emphasizes that the American missionary and his family are risking their lives for them, so Dave agrees to send an escort for the extraction. Mike gives Dave intel about the Walters family in Pakistan. They were headed to Kunar for their extraction, but they needed help. Meanwhile, the extraction team Warhorse is hit by a terrorist group, and Warhorse 1, the team's chief, falls off the jet. The jet and the rest of the team crash. When he tries to contact the rest of his team members, he gets no response, and when he sends a message to the military base, Kastka, the man over the phone confirms that there's no movement around the crash. Mirko believes that his teammates are alive and insists he will go to the location of the crash. When he begins to make his way there, the already crashed jet is hit with another bomb. He traces the point of the shooting and makes his way there. There are 3 Taliban agents there. He successfully hits 2 of them. He's unable to hit the 3rd man before he calls for backup. Castle informs Mirko that about 30 to 40 terrorists are on their way. Mirko says he can handle them, but the man on the phone says he should disengage. Mirko refuses, and the man over the phone summons the commander. The commander tells Mirko that his teammates are gone and he's alone in the mountains. He tells Mirko to lay low until they can send an extraction team, but he insists. More terrorists have arrived now, and they begin to shoot at Mirko. He terminates the first of the men and runs further into the mountains. After a short while, the commander calls Mirko and asks him to rethink his options. Mirko says he'll disengage. He then continues to open fire at them until he has limited bullets. Mirko is now very close to a lake. He contemplates if he should jump and jumps anyway. He struggles in the water. He probably doesn't know how to swim, or the current of the water is too strong. 2 men look down from the mountain into the lake and see the strong waves. They believe he can't survive if he jumps inside and leaves. Shortly after, Mirko emerges from the lake and rests on a rock. He rests for a while before gathering his things. Mirko begins to walk and stumbles across a vehicle. He sees the injured Mr. Walters sitting beside a car. When he tries to help him, Mr. Walters refuses and points Mirko to his daughter instead. Mirko meets Zoe, Walters' daughter. He asks for her name, but Zoe shushes him. She believes her mom is asleep and doesn't want Mirko to wake her. When Mirko gets closer, Zoe tells him that her mom says everything will be alright. She gives him a note and tells him that they're going there. Mirko tells her they can't go there yet. He points to the mountain where his jet crashed and says they'll be safe there. Zoe agrees, and she alights from the vehicle. She bends to pick up her father's necklace, and the note falls. Mirko and Zoe begin to walk up the mountain. After some time, Mirko confirms with a device that has about 2.5 hours before they get up the mountain. Meanwhile, a group of terrorists has seen Mr. Walters' vehicle. They realize one of the children is missing and see a note on the floor. It contains a drawing of heaven. The boss wants them to find the girl and dismisses them. Mirko and Zoe have gone further now, and Mirko has changed her scarf into something less conspicuous. Mirko stops to check something as they're walking, but Zoe quickly walks off. Big trees surround her, and when Mirko catches up with her, he's suspicious of the area. He looks closely and realizes a bomb trap. He disengages the bomb and warns Zoe to stay close. Mirko and Zoe continue to walk, and Mirko when he sights 2 of the terrorists. He leaves Zoe to quietly assassinates them with a knife. While he's doing that, another one shows up and is very close to Zoe. Zoe hides, and Mirko assassinates him too. Mirko gets Zoe, and they move. Mirko hears their voices and sets his gun on a rock below them. He listens closely to their conversation. They are still heavily searching for him and Zoe. When they leave that side, Mirko and Zoe go further. Mirko hides Zoe in a cave and goes to communicate with Castle. He asks for an immediate evacuation, but Castle says there are no helicopters around Mirko's vicinity, so Mirko has to wait till 6 p.m. for the extraction. Mirko sets a bomb trap for the enemies and returns to the cave to rest. Zoe is set to sleep, and she asks Mirko how he knew she was there. Mirko explains that he and his team were on a mission when the commander changed the plans and asked them to rescue her family. She then asks about his team, and he explains how he fell out before their helicopter crashed, so she calls him an angel. After explaining to her, he tells her to go to sleep, but she requests a bedtime story about superheroes, so he tells her how his Muslim friend Aziz Latiri risked his life to save him and his teammates once. By this time, Zoe is asleep, and Mirko also catches a nap. He dreams about the crash and wakes up. He wakes Zoe up, and they get ready to move. Zoe sees one of the men and calls Mirko's attention. Mirko's gun is far from this, so he throws his knife at the guy. He runs over there and takes the guy's life. They hurry away from that area, and soon, more terrorists reach the cave side. The one in front falls for the trap, and the bomb explodes in his face. Mirko hears the explosion, and they walk further away from the area. Mirko stops to get a drink of water and hears Zoe groan from a distance. He sees her trying to drive sticks into a tree when he meets her. He explains how she can do it, and she tries again. Her aim is better this time, so he gives her a real knife, which stabs the tree. Mirko picks up the knife, and they move. However, the enemies are close by. Mirko can feel it, so they both hide behind a tree. When Mirko sees no sign of the enemy, he rests on the tree and drinks some water. He offers Zoe, but she declines. He then chews gum and gives her some while they rest. Zoe brings out a teddy from her bag. She named it Louie. She says she misses her mom and knows her mom is dead, just like her brother and father. Mirko comforts her and promises to get them out alive. He carries her, and they begin to move. The terrorists realize that the child's tracks are gone, which means he's carrying her, and they have to move faster to catch up. Mirko sees them through his binoculars, but Zoe has gone off. He sees her talking to a strange man. When Mirko arrives, the man hides his walkie-talkie on the ground beneath and introduces himself to Mirko as a goat herder. He offers to help them get to the next town. Mirko is suspicious, but Zoe wants them to give him a try, probably because he isn't dressed like the terrorists who have been hunting them. Mirko searches him for any weapons and devices and follows him. The enemies try to communicate with him, Lion, through the walkie-talkie, but they get no response. Mirko, Zoe, and Lion have gotten to a place now. The Lion stops to assure them they are close to the next village. He explains his background when Mirko asks, but Castle reaches out to Mirko. They ask for his location and assure him that they are close by. Mirko sees that Lion is distracted, and when he follows his focus, he sees the enemies around. Mirko hides Zoe behind a rock and runs off to assassinate the men around. When he returns, Zoe is gone. He sees footmarks and follows them. He sees Louie, the teddy, on the floor near a cave. He assassinates the guard outside and disguises himself as him. In the cave, Lion locked Zoe in a cage. One of the men returns Lion's gun and assures him that the other men are searching for Mirko. Behind the cave is a camp of the terrorists. He slowly assassinates them as he also searches for Zoe. He opens a room and is about to enter when Raven hits him. The Lion stops Raven from taking his life and knocks him out instead. Mirko wakes up in a room with Lion and 2 guards. Lion wants to know when and where the helicopter will be, but Mirko refuses to divulge such intel. Lion sends the guards to get Zoe. He believes that he can threaten Mirko with Zoe. While the guards are away, Mirko wounds Lion and uses his gun to attack the other men in the camp. He hears Zoe's screams and follows the sound. He finds her, but Lion is lurking behind and stabs him. Mirko is quick to shoot at him. Zoe calls him Papa and hugs him. He carries her, and they begin to move. They run towards the expected point of evacuation, but Mirko is getting weak and can barely move. He rests on the hill, tells Zoe to hide behind his bulletproof vest, and waves his tracking device around. He checks for his pistol but realizes he must have dropped it in the camp. Zoe holds out the knife behind him, but he assures her they'll be fine. The terrorists have closed up on them, but so has the rescue team. They assassinate the rest of the terrorists around and take off. After the mission, Mirko adopts Zoe and gets her a pet dog which she names Louie. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment what you think I should recap next, and I'll see you in the next video.